An exponential function is a mathematical function of the following form: f(x) equals a elevated to the x, where x is a variable and a is a constant called the base of the function. It has the domain from the negative infinity to the infinity, a range from 0, infinity. The parent graph always intercepts at 0, 1, because anything elevated to the 0 equals 1, and it is called the characteristic point. It has an horizontal asymptote y equals 0, because when there is a negative exponent, the number changes into a fraction that will never be equal 0. There are two cases. The first one is a bigger than 0 but less than 1, and it has a domain that comes from the negative infinity to the infinity. It has no vertical asymptotes. It is always decreasing values. Y equals 0, and the y-intercept is in 0, 1. And there is the second case, that is that a is greater than 1. It has a domain from the negative infinity to the infinity. It has no vertical asymptotes. It is always increasing values. Y equals 0, and the y-intercept is in 0, 1.
The Chernobyl accident happened in April 26 of 1986. The cause of this disaster was a test to prove the turbines could generate enough energy for the cooling pumps of the reactors. While doing this, there was a failure in the power cut that was supposed to guarantee the cooling of the reactors. This mistake caused a giant radioactive cloud that affected with different intensities the whole European continent. The consequences of this incident include 25,000 people died, risking their lives by exposing themselves to the radiation in order to control the situation. The percentage of people with thyroid cancer increased dramatically because of the fallout. Many women were forced to undergo abortion in order to avoid bearing children with birth defects.
Mr. Adan deposits in Bancomer a certain amount of money in a saving account compounding continuously. The equation of the balance after a period of time is, in years, is given by BT 25,000 e to the 0.7 in pesos. Find the balance after 7 months. When will Mr. Adan have 75,000 pesos in his account? On the day of your birth, your parents made a deposit of 35,000 pesos in a trust fund that pays 5% interest compounded continuously. Determine the balance in this account on your 21st birthday.
An exponential growth is the growth represented by the next equation: a equals b times e elevated to the rt. In other words, that its growth rate increases rapidly.
The function that represents is fx equals a to the x.
An exponential decay is represented by the next equation: b equals c times 1 plus r elevated to the t. In other words, how the exponential function decreases.
The implication of using nuclear energy are that it doesn't produce many carbon dioxide, and it can produce many electrical energy in one single plant. More implications are that it is impossible to make a plant 100% secure, and these plants are prone to receive terrorist attacks. We consider that nuclear energy is not a clean energy, because its nuclear wastes are life-threatening upon 1,000 years. Yes, we are aware there is a nuclear plant in Mexico. It is located in Veracruz. We think that the plant is not safe because even though all plants should have an emergency plan in case of disaster, in the Veracruz government's website, it specifies that this plan is in case the consequences circumscribe towards the center of the plant. This does not include the sea near the plant nor the land behind it. The damage caused from an accident would be catastrophic because they are only protecting the plant, not the country. We don't agree that our country has a nuclear energy plant, because as mentioned before, it is damaging for our country and it affects the beautiful touristic state as Veracruz.
The Chernobyl disaster could not have been prevented since, as we already said, the thing that was supposed to cool the reactors failed. There was an effort to decontaminate the place, but that wasn't enough. The radiation spread as far as Europe but wasn't powerful enough to reach Mexico.
Consequences. This mistake caused a giant radioactive cloud that affected with different intensities the whole European continent. 25,000 people died, risking their lives by exposing themselves to the radiation in order to control the situation. The percentage of people with thyroid cancer increased dramatically because of the fallout, and many women were forced to undergo abortion in order to avoid bearing children with birth defects and because of the radiation.
Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster is an example of another global-scale nuclear disaster. The consequences of this incident were that chemicals were released in drinking water, food, and other non-edible materials. Percentage of people with cancer increased and other health problems.
We think that these people should not suffer from this mess just because of the mistakes of unprepared workers. We propose installing filtrated vent systems, since, for example, in an accident like the one in Fukushima, a filtrated vent system could have reduced the possibility of internal explosions by releasing radioactive gases to the atmosphere through the large filter system. To conclude, we would like to say that we felt that this was a very good way to learn how to work as a team. We did like doing this project with people from another campus. At first, it was difficult to communicate since we didn't have the same schedule, but later we found a way to work together. What we most liked of this project is that we learned how to work with people that think and have different opinions.
Working like this was difficult, contacting each other was hard, and we think it's kind of a good idea to work like this because it makes us learn that in life we don't get to work with people we know we like or we see every day. What we liked the most was that we get to interact with other people and share different opinions.